Sadhguru, now that we talked about her dream college, I take the leverage of putting you in a
It's
situation.
okay, you were born here, so it's all right.
Suppose you are a third year student at SRCC. So most of the third years would join me in the mindset that this is the time, where we have a lot of options. We can opt for placements, or we can do higher studies, or we can pursue CA, etc., etc. But at times it happens that our vision or our goal about life is different from that of our parents. Have you ever come across a situation where your goals are not in line with your parents? And is
Sure.
it okay to, kind of go against them?
See, they had goals and goals, I had none, so I never came across such a thing. They had many goals. So, my father, being a physician, is a very good man, and academically, all his life he's been at the top. And he's a physician. In India, we have a malice that first thing is you become a doctor. If you cannot, you become an engineer. If you cannot, then only you end up in commerce. At least in the previous generation. When we are growing up, that is the thing. So, obviously his dream is I should become a doctor. I hope he's not on the web listening to me. Because he studied in such a way that he didn't study because for him it was a passion. He lost his mother when he was 4 years of age and she died of tuberculosis. So though he's from a very large business family, he committed that he will become a doctor because somewhere a 4-year-old boy felt that if there was a good doctor, the mother would have lived. So he committed that he wants to become a doctor. For him, being a doctor was not a profession, it was like his religion. He lived like that. So naturally, he wanted all the 4 siblings, all his 4 children rather, to become doctors. First one didn't become, second one didn't become, third one didn't become, I got caught. At the age of 10 or 11, I clearly told him, see, one thing is I'm never going to be a doctor. Please don't pin your hopes on me. He showed me all his notes, piles of notes that he has kept about his studies. He said, I've kept all this so that one of you will become a doctor. Well, all 3 went different ways and me going nowhere. I'm only interested in biology, means I'm interested in the jungle, not in dissecting something, just looking and observing things. So, a time came when I finished my… This is not a good example, you're asking me questions, okay? I finished my what is today called as +2, is it? What do you call this? 12th. At that time it was called as pre-university course. I finished my 12th standard and I decided I will not go to the university. By then I had cycled across southern India, I had seen more life than most people would have seen. I had done some small tradings of this and that and earned a lot of money. Lot means in those days, a few thousand rupees. Maybe I had 50,000–60,000 rupees when I was 17 years of age. All rolled up, I didn't know what's banking, so rolled it up and put rubber bands and hid it all over so that my brother doesn't steal. So, I have a lot of money and I have a bicycle and I want to go to Moscow on my bicycle, I'm preparing for that. So I'm not going to the university for sure. In this family, if you fail, there's an advantage, you don't go to the university. If I knew that, I would have just failed. But the problem is I had passed. So I said, I won't go to the university, I will educate myself. He said, what? Not going to the university? I said, no. Then once I said I'm not going to the university, suddenly I became such an evil in the family, everybody started looking at me, what is wrong with you? I said, well, I want to educate myself. How are you going to do it? I said, I think I'm doing it pretty well. But if you insist that I must read and study, then I decided that 1 year I did something very unique and uncharacteristic of me. That one whole year, just to handle the reaction I got, I couldn't understand, what are they reacting to? I don't want to go to the university, what is their problem? First of all, I never understood why I should go to the university. Nobody ever told me why I should go to the school. So I went to the Mysore University library every day. When the library opens at 9 o'clock, I was there, I was the first customer. When it closed at 8 o'clock, I was the last one to get out. Those days, these days, many of you are well-fed and like that. We were also well-fed, but our activity was such, the level of activity was such, I'm always hungry. I would actually eat at that time at least 10 times more than what I'm eating today, at least, or much more. So I'm always hungry, doesn't matter how much I eat, I'm always hungry because my activity levels are such. This 1 year, I went without a lunch. It's not a small thing for you, you can easily go without a lunch. But for me, who was scrawny and a concave stomach all the time, going without lunch for 1 year was like a big feat. I just read anything to anything. You know, from Kalidasa to Homer to popular mechanics to a whole many years of National Geographic and all kinds of books of physics, mathematics and astronomy, and you take whatever. 1 whole year, every day, 11 hours a day, I read and read and read. That's the only reading I did. After that, me and books don't go. Then after 1 year, I realized that just gathering all this information is just waste of time for me. And when the next academic year came, there was drama at home. My mother was crying and said, what are you wasting your life for? We thought you will become this, you will become that. I said, I don't know what I'll become, but she put so much pressure, just get into some college. Whether you go there or not, I will not ask, just get into some college. Then I thought through this and I said, okay, I'll do literature, English literature, because in this 1 year I had developed some appetite for reading literature and poetry. And I myself was writing many poems about just about anything. So I joined literature. I went to college. On first day, a teacher comes and reads a book. Everybody is writing down, karra karra, these days it doesn't make noise, those days fountain pens, karra 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 karra, 50 people are writing karra karra. I don't like this. I said, see, I just looked into the teacher's book, then I saw it is a handwritten book, that it's her notes. I said, ma'am, if you give that book to me, I'll make photocopies of this and give it to everybody. You don't have to come, we don't have to come. But if you want me to come here, I have 1,000 questions. Not 1,000, I have millions of questions, like a dark cloud is hanging around my head. I'm going to ask these questions. If you cannot answer these questions, I cannot sit here. Then I made a deal with all the teachers that they give me attendance and I won't bother them with their questions. This deal worked pretty well for 3 years and I got out of it. Is this what my father wanted? Definitely not. Why I'm saying this to you is not to simply go against your parents, that's not the point. The point is, this life is precious. Now when you're talking about, what shall I do this, shall I do that, is it only about how to earn a living? You must get off that. This is not about… education is not about earning a living. When an earthworm can earn a living, a grasshopper can earn a living, every damn insect, bird and animal can earn a living, a street dog can earn a living, what is the big deal about survival with such a big brain? Survival is not the big thing about the human being. Survival has become a problem because you want to survive like somebody else, that's the whole problem. If you want to survive, there's not a problem. My father would ask, how will you make a living? How will you live? What will you earn? I said, if nobody wants to feed me, I'll go into the jungle. And I went into the jungle for weeks and survived very well by myself. Many times I went off into the forest and I just survived off the forest without any food support from anywhere else. So survival is not the issue. What are we going to do with this life? Are we going to take this life to full potential, or are we going to be those people who are just shit scared of life itself and what will happen to my food, what will happen to my food, what is this? When a street dog is not bothered, happily is wagging his tail and going tuk tuk tuk, what is your problem with such a big brain, I'm asking? You don't educate for survival, you educate because you want to expand your horizons. You want to make this life into a worthwhile life, that's what that matters. So will it be in conflict with many people? Of course it will be, because they think you won't make it. I must tell you this now that you asked this question. This was almost 34 years ago. There was a person who was like a godfather to my wife at that time. She was still working in a bank. I was living on my motorcycle, traveling all over the place. I would teach here and there once in 3-4 months, but rest of the time I'm just riding, simply riding across the country for no purpose. So one day I came to Bangalore and I went to their home because of the entire night I've been riding. I went to their home and I wanted to shower and have some food and then go pick up my wife from the bank. Then I showered and ate well, and then this man sit in front of me and said, "See, I know somebody in the Bangalore Development Authority, in this particular extension there are some house sites available, you must get yourself a house site." I said, "What? Me buy a house site for what? I live on the motorcycle. Why will I buy a house site?" He said, "No, you're married, you can't be like this, you need to have a house someday. You must buy a house site." I said, "Don't you tell me this, that if I wanted to buy real estate, I wouldn't buy a house site, I will buy a town, okay? So that's not my interest at all. I'm not going to buy a house site, please don't try to push me. Thank you for the meal and the shower." But then he looked at me hopelessly and asked, "How long will you go on like this?" I said, as long as my marbles roll, that's about it. That's how long everybody goes about in their life. Then I went out and I didn't see… and I met him here and there. For about 18 years I had not met. In 2017 see, the problem is just this, people value something only because it's recognized by somebody, that means they're blind, isn't it? If you look at this, you must know this is light. You look at this and you don't know what it is, and I said, see, that is light. That means what? You're blind, isn't it? Yes or no? So after 18 years of no contact, he called me in 2017 because the government gave me this Padma Vibhushan. He called me and he said, "I never thought your marbles will roll this far." Okay. So unfortunately, a whole lot of people can see light only when you say it is light, otherwise they can't see it. Don't go by such people, whoever they may be, doesn't matter who they are.